one thing with them all like mother day and them woman in them early 40s or late 30s, Them a go do every single thing but go to the gym and do like a normal exercise. Alright. Today we are watch what you're losing staying still. By once again Kiana Doitry. May we share say again. Okay.
Exercise might be the single most powerful thing you can do to
Okay,
change
okay, okay. One more point for exercise. Yeah, let's go.
your life. And the crazy thing is, it's not about health or weight or anything like that. It's due to how it affects your brain. You know, the thing that determines how good you feel today, what you're thinking about, how anxious or depressed or
Yeah.
motivated or focused you are. The
Okay.
quality of your life depends on your brain. And it turns out that it doesn't just like exercise, it needs it. Quote, exercise provides an unparalleled stimulus. It's an indispensable tool for anyone who wants to reach his or her.
Go to the gym. As a matter of fact, leave a guy gym. You're not have a guy gym. Just do something, dog. They do no foolish no. You see them exercise that we see the people them a do on TV. Bullshit. Me not care if me can't do it. In all the shit. And that me say. Because me can't do it. So, in all the shit. Me no business if this and that and all the woman them do it. Me not care or foolishness. Them exercise upon the TV where them at this and them one thing with them all like mother day and them woman in them early 40s or late 30s, Them a go do every single thing but go to the gym and do like a normal exercise. Them a go walk in a pool and run in a pool. Oh, me do me look at exercise. You know the shit. You walk in a pool for 2 seconds and then oh yeah, they look at exercise. It burn me. It burn me for see them do it. It burn me for see them do it. So till I don't know why I say trigger dog. I need to mind my own business. But dog, do exercises. Do calisthenics. Do resistance training. Like do exercise. Them just don't want to do the work and them and say, oh, this and that and this and that. Don't get me wrong. That is a start. But you're not supposed to do that 2 years in. Obviously, you see, you still not lose no weight. Something must wrong. Something must wrong. I mean, know you see it. I know say you see it. But no. You're jogging a pool. When somebody say something more there, the man say, yo, you're not gonna lose no one bag of cardio in a pool like what you think. Cause you're not Michael Phelps. You know they pool 8 hours a day in a 2 hours in a 2 hour session. So them can have it say, oh me I got a pool today and me I lose this weight or that or that. Yes, it's good say you know the frame of mind to say, yo, I gotta get some exercise out of this leisure time when I have quote unquote exercise. Like that, I remember one time that one woman come my pool with bum bar, some foam dumbbell, and she had do some one bag of stupid shit. Like, where you even at do? She with the foam dumbbell them, I talk about, oh, the water make it harder and this and that. It not do shit. It not do shit. People just want to feel like they want to do something, dog. And is that a bad thing? I don't know. But it just pissed me off. And should I let the video play? Definitely. I agree.
Full potential. So, today we're discussing how exercise physically changes your brain and how it literally shrinks and shrivels without it. Plus, of course, which forms of
Aloy.
exercise count. How do we start using exercise as a tool to improve each and every day of our lives? By the way,
Oh,
welcome to my newest
what was that? Hmm? Catch that? You catch that? I catch that.
series, Books to Change Your Life. Big ideas that have the potential to change how we think, feel, and live. I've been brewing on
Alright.
this idea for a while and I'm so excited to make the first video in the series. And
Brilliant
today's
student.
life-changing idea is from the book Spark, The Revolutionary New Science of Exercise and the Brain. I read this book a while ago and some of the stuff in this book just stays with you. It truly blew my mind. And let me tell you, you will be more motivated to exercise after today's video. But first, a little bit of background information that you probably want to know. So Spark was written by Dr. John Ratey, a professor of psychiatry at Harvard, and he got into the whole topic after observing his patients and the effect exercise was having on their lives. In particular, he had this patient who was a marathon runner, also a very successful professor. This guy gets injured. He has to stop running and almost all forms of exercise completely out of the blue after being a lifelong exerciser. Well, all of a sudden, this
is that crazy pull? Is that the you know the YouTuber? They make the inventions and them something. They make the Spider-Man web thing and them something. See me on video where they say, "Yo, give me a minute. Give me a minute." Okay, I am back. So me that say now, me that watch on video, the man that say, the man that made the inventions, the Venom skin thing and the Spider-Man web and him all and the Iron Man, him always make one bag of inventions. He must say, yeah, him father used to be a marathon runner and him father one professor one college. So when you think I'm father, let me look it up. I go back, this is what she said a while ago, and then I go look it up and see if the two people are match. Okay. I'll probably never name him, but I feel like I go do like a searching and see.
This guy immediately.
Wait. All right. So all my extensive research, and by research I mean me do a couple Google search, and I tell no lie. The person in the some unnamed, the person in the man book unnamed, but the story line up so crazy because the man father him named Jail Laser on YouTube. He met the wheelchair for him father idea. Him father was literally a professor and him father was a marathon runner and him father get injured. So it crazy for you she say in the man book him say one I'm patient them in particular was a professor who was also a marathon runner we get injured. I feel like a him, but in the book him unnamed, so me can't know for sure. But definitely me just figure out something a while ago. Brilliant student. Alright, we're gonna make she continue talk.
To stop running and almost all forms of exercise completely out of the blue after being a lifelong exerciser. Well, all of a sudden, this guy immediately picks up a bunch of different mental health symptoms after never struggling with any of these problems before. Suddenly, he can't focus. He felt frustrated all the time. He's angrier. He can't get himself to buckle down and get to work. And this and other observations caused Ratey to wonder if maybe exercise and the brain were linked together in a way we never thought possible before.
I not look on the video, but I wonder if him they talk about the university or the college and father they teach, and then we could have find a connection there. But you know, I'm do that upon the one time. I already did enough research. I do like 5-4 Google searches a while ago. It's crazy, I know. But we'll continue.
So yeah, exciting video today, but before we get into it, a message from today's sponsor. Quince. That extra is a wide range of really...
The jump button. Come on, YouTube, we need the jump button.
The way they pull it up. Materials. Amazing price. Bedroom make. First off, it's so... And a crisp, organic example where the linen... Most items can be what they make. Essentials with 65/key video.
Think you're a fat piece of food for that.
So Spark opens with a story about a high school. And when the author heard this story himself on TV, what he heard was so surprising, so exciting, and so shocking that he literally got on an airplane and flew to Naperville, Illinois.
Privilege.
It's 7:10 a.m. School hasn't even started, but a select group of students have already strapped on heart rate monitors and hit the track. Not only that, but before most kids are even up, these kids already have their heart rates above 180, pushing themselves to operate at 80 to 90% of their maximum. And we're
I don't know what that means, but you know, one more point for working out and fitness.
We're not talking about normal gym class here. These kids are actually part of a very successful experiment that was called 0 Hour PE. And this experiment transformed these kids and the thousands of others who participated into some of the fittest in the country, which is probably not that surprising. These kids are getting up early to work out hard. But what is surprising is that in the process, this early morning exercise has not only made them some of the fittest, but also some of the smartest. So after a 0-hour workout session, these students reported feeling more focused. They felt more energized, they had less brain fog.
Me always admire the athlete who can be a exceptional athlete and also an exceptional student. It's crazy.
They seemed to be thinking better, and it wasn't just a feeling. Participating students also performed better in school, particularly in subjects that came right after the 0-hour morning workout session. And when it came time to put these
Active.
kids to the test, some of Naperville students took the TIMS. It's an international exam that pits students from around the world against each other in science and math. And this test is a big deal. It's actually the test that people talk about when they make claims like, America is falling behind the rest of the world. That's the test that they're getting that data from. And they're not wrong. In some Asian countries, nearly half of all students score in the top tier. Yet in America, it's only 7%. The US typically does very poorly on this test. As a whole, at the time of the book's writing, it finished around 18th in science and 19th in math. But not in Naperville. There they finished first in science and 6th in math. And if you're like, okay, well, there are a lot of reasons these kids could be doing well. I mean, how do we even know that exercise has anything to do with it? Well, the thing is, it's not just this one place. Research reports that all across the country, students with higher fitness scores also have higher test scores, with some even finding that fit kids scored twice as well on academic tests as their unfit peers. And this is all true even when taking into account things like socioeconomic status and school spending. In other words, something about exercise was priming these kids' brains to perform better than they ever had before. Which leads to the most obvious question: what exactly was happening inside these kids' brains that led to them thinking better and seeming smarter? Why would exercise benefit your brain at all? How far does this all go? Well, according to Spark, the answer starts with what it even means to learn something at all. And the thing about learning is, I feel like we hear the word learning and we start thinking about school. Test taking, homework. I mean, I literally just told you a story about school. But don't get it confused, okay? Because that is just a tiny slice of what learning really means when it comes to your brain. It is an extremely important concept to every single person watching this. It's important to the quality of your day-to-day life now and in the future. So, the definition. The technical definition of learning is a change in you in response to experience. And you might be like, huh, what does that mean? And what does it have to do with anything?
It's like when them say, it's like when them say, insanity are doing the same thing over and over, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So I guess this is like the simple meaning for learning, a change in you in response to experience. So you do something, this happen, so you learn, cause you're not gonna do it again. So that shows you learn. Makes sense, right? Yeah, makes sense.
Well, anytime you get better at anything at all, that's learning. Anytime you stay calm where you used to freak out, learning. Anytime you break a bad habit you've been trying to break for years, learning. Learning is really anytime you used to freak out, learning. Anytime you break a bad habit you've been trying to break for years, learning. Learning is really anytime you grow at all in any way as a human being. And the word grow is really, really important here because that's exactly what's happening to your brain anytime you learn something. And it's also exactly the function that exercise enhances, because learning doesn't just require your brain to change and grow. Learning is your brain changing and growing. Here is roughly how it works. Your brain cells, neurons, literally remodel themselves in response to what you experience.
All right, so tell me now, how would this relate to exercise, physical exercise?
They build neural pathways, connections to each other. They sprout more branches like a tree, so each cell can connect to more cells. And in some areas, your brain can even generate new neurons, new brain cells. So every time you learn something, it isn't just your brain filing it away for later. It's actually physically rebuilding itself, rewiring itself to include whatever you learned as part of you. Meaning that quite literally, the more you learn, the physically denser your brain becomes. And the crazy part is, according to Spark and to science in general, in order for any of this to happen, any of this growth to happen, this denser brain, these new branches sprouting,
Yeah.
it all depends on this one molecule. It's called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And get this, exercise and movement in general boosts that molecule more than anything else. And right away, when scientists first started
So the physical help the mental. Okay. Me think we all know that, you know. We experience it, probably never know if we explain it, we never know the word for it. See, they know being whatever, FF, you know. But the physical help the mental, you know. You work out, you feel good. You know, you want to go take on the world now. Probably all of them, what she call it a while ago? All them chemicals there are flow through your body and I go to your brain, you know. So your brain will grow. Or you have this itch for your brain to go, 'cause you have all of these chemicals that flow from the physical activities. Okay.
studying it, they noticed that if they sprinkled BDNF on brain cells in a petri dish, those brain cells would start to grow. They would literally start to sprout new branches. In other words, BDNF was causing the same type of growth that is required for learning to happen. The very same type of growth that changes your life by changing you. Causing Spark to describe BDNF as miracle grow for the brain. It's quite literally the fertilizer that makes brain cells grow. BDNF, quote, improves the function of neurons, encourages their growth, and strengthens and protects them against the natural process of cell death. The book tells the story of a scientist researching BDNF and exercise. And at the time, this was not a link that we fully understood. So the scientist takes a bunch of lab rats, puts them on running wheels, and tracks the levels of BDNF in their brain. And the study finds that the more the rats ran on the running mill, the more BDNF they had in their brains. And now,
Yeah, but
modern
them
research
have a
in humans.
question, wait there. So why them have this, you know, stereotype of the gym guy, big meathead in nonsense, this and that, ooh, go. You know, why them have that stereotype there? Cause he might do most exercise, he might do the most. But you know, I guess your intelligence not gonna show in a every. Cause him probably like have some way him geek out on differently from the gym. Cause I probably some level of autism that, you know, like it's some not for everybody, but for like some people like super geeked out and this and that about the gym, where everything. But you know, them probably it probably show in a different ways. Or you know, and most of the time you don't know people personally, so you don't know him could have be a genius. Or not even say genius, but you know, incompetent in a school.
Confirms. Not only does exercise spark BDNF in the brain, but it reliably improves learning, memory, focus, overall cognition across the board. Now, at this point, I'm reading this book and I'm like, I'm convinced. Okay, I'll go do some cardio. Morning cardio has seriously never looked so good. The only thing was, I was still wondering why. I get the whole BDNF thing, but my question was, why would the brain respond so positively to exercise to begin with? Why are these two things so connected? And Spark had an answer, a very interesting yet scary answer. According to the book, the only creatures on planet Earth that need a brain are the ones that move around. In other words, movement, exercise, might be why we evolved brains to begin with. The book goes on to quote a scientist named Rodolfo Nunez, who tells us a little story about a creature called the sea squirt, which is this little thing right here. Now, right now, it kind of looks like a plant, right? But as a baby, it looked more like a tadpole. And this thing is pretty much just a brain and a tail. Brain plus rudder, engine, movement apparatus. When it's born, the sea squirt has 12 hours to swim around and find a patch of coral to attach it.
And if it doesn't, it dies.
Itself too. This patch will become its lifelong home. It never plans to move again. So once it safely attaches itself, it hunkers down and then immediately eats its own brain. And according to Nunez, it eats the brain because it has literally no use at all for it anymore. Meaning that to a thing that doesn't move, a brain is more useful as a snack than anything else. In other words, you evolved
So dog, the point of life is to move. Make sure no move. That at the point of life. In a many sense, you're alive if you not move or exercise. That me a year basically. That me a year basically.
to move. Your entire being exists in some way to move. And Eunice goes even further. He says that what we call thinking actually evolved out of movement. And basically, we think of our brains primarily as a thinking machine, right? But it didn't start that way. First, its whole job was movement, and all the other
Motor
functions came
skills.
later. And the book really shows you how far this goes, and it's kind of insane. Because if we zoom in on one part of the brain, it becomes even more clear how crucial movement is to our functioning. So let's zoom in to the cerebellum. It's this thick piece right here at the back of the head. It's one of the oldest parts
Me hear that word they know a song already.
of the brain, and for 100 years we believed that its
Yes, sir. I'm almost some gun song, some gun song or something. Yeah.
only job was to coordinate our movement. So, walking without thinking about it, reaching for your cup without knocking it over, catching something tossed to you, all cerebellum stuff. And we thought that's all it did. But as we learned more, it became crystal clear how truly inseparable
Like the water.
movement and brain function really were.
That's
During World War I, a neurologist treating soldiers with head wounds noticed something. If this specific area was damaged, the soldiers walked like they were drunk. They were stumbling, they were reaching for things
9 ball. Sorry. Down in the esophagus. The song me a try remember. The song me a try remember. Remember the song, dog.
and missing. They were moving around still, but not smoothly. So we were like, okay, cerebellum equals movement, moving on. But by the 80s, scientists started noticing that other things weren't being coordinated quite as well with people who had damaged cerebellums. In addition to this drunk-like behavior, patients also started showing issues with emotional control and abstract reasoning, which means they were struggling with staying calm instead of flying off the handle when something went wrong. Thinking a problem through instead of getting stuck, reading a situation, planning ahead, keeping themselves together. They were struggling with running their
me a twitch that. Me need to know which song that. Me need to know which song that. Me need to know which song that. But we not get it today. We could just accept defeat. You know.
lives. In other words, the part of our brains that coordinates our movement is also help coordinating our emotions, our thoughts, our attention, and even our social skills. You can actually see this little image here of the cerebellum showing that it controls all these different areas at once.
Motor. What are you saying, man? Multitask, working memory task, emotion processing task, social processing task, language processing task. So not just movement. I basically everything. I basically everything. Working memory, emotion processing, social processing, language processing, and movement. Are the central of your brain that are your brain central? Okay.
Motor tasks, working memory, emotion processing, social processing, language processing. So when you move your body, when you
Everything that,
exercise,
brother.
you're working the same system that handles your thinking and your feeling and everything else. They're not separate systems. Exercising your body is exercising your brain, which I mean makes sense, but it's
Aw.
still just so mind-blowing to hear it put like that. And I feel like it needs to be said right here, like if we don't feel great, if we're unhappy, if we can't focus, if our mental health is not where we want it to be at, exercise absolutely has to be part of that solution. Like with this information, to me, it's just like there's no way around it. If we don't feel the way we want to feel, or if we don't feel like we're getting the most out of our lives
Go
on a
run.
day-to-day basis, exercise is truly a big part of the answer. Kind of crazy to hear, right? I mean, we have treated the mind and the
Is
body
it though? Is it? Because I feel like we know this, but we just never know why are the concept or because you run, you feel like even them call that the runner's high. And you do something physically, but it triggers something in your brain to release some chemicals We know say a link there, dog, but we just never like press it and say, yo, this, that, and that. But just like how working out in the morning can, impact your day, make you have a better day. Cause you just go feel more like, I don't know, dog, but are the chemical them, the B or them chemical they gone up in your brain when you work out early in the morning. It's a good start to the day and thing. So more they say, yo, we neglect it, and we are say, yo, the mental not connect to the physical. Have we been saying that? Probably before my time. I don't know.
as separate systems for so long. And now that you hear it like this, it's kind of like, well, duh. But it's just sort of humbling to hear how deep that connection truly runs. And research confirms this. I feel like I already said this, but mood, focus, memory, stress, aging, anxiety,
One
not
place.
even to mention all
Cerebellum.
the health issues and diseases, all of these things are reliably improved by exercise. It's crazy. But everything we just discussed really, really leads you to a big question. If exercise and movement are so incredible for the brain, then what happens when we don't do it? Because obviously the norm is not movement.
And look, and if you think about it, just like how the fish, just like how the fish eat them brain, eat the brain when it start move. At the same thing happen to, oh shit, me switch it. But at the same thing happen to we when I feel like gym goers know this. Like if you stop workout and then not even if you just say stop workout, but if you like sick or lie down in your bed for you all day. Not just for you all day, you may talk like that. But for like a period of time, you're gonna lose muscle. Like is it atrophy? I don't know if that's the right word. But you're gonna lose muscle. So the signs are there. We are live through life, but we just never deep it real for say, oh, so mine are way and movement connected because when me stop exercise or me seek out for a week or 2 week, me lose muscle, me atrophy because my body I say, yo, my mind I say, we don't need this right now. We don't move. So we just get rid of it, just like the fish we eat them brain because they not used to it. The body not gonna move again. Our brain say, yo, we not use for them muscle, we not move right now. So we just take it up for energy. You see it? It's a little parallel. Is it a parallel? Something like that. Yeah, something like that. I'll get back to you, video.
These days. Now, there's no specific
Stop
section
saying that,
in
man.
Spark dedicated to this particular question, but if there was, it would be called the shrinking brain. Exercise used to be just something we had to do every single day to survive. Sprinting,
Regular
for
day.
example, it either meant that you were catching dinner or it was catching you. No one had to go to the gym, no one had to take a walk. You just did your life, and the natural result was movement and quote-unquote exercise. It was the natural default.
The world not built for that right now. Yeah, the more we get fat and stay in our house and order everything off Amazon and dead. Oh no, me nearly pressed the wrong button. I'm supposed to press this. Yeah. The world not built for that. You have to seek out that or go somewhere where it's easy, I feel. Not America. Jamaica. Most definitely. Yeah, it walk. Yeah, it promote walking. To an extent, depending upon where you come from. Most other countries, probably on the east, them promote, more walking, more active, like day to day. Walk go work, walk go back to your yard, things like that. Corporations.
Way of things, but that natural way has been disrupted in more ways than one. We no longer hunt and gather, and that's a problem. The sedentary character of modern life is a disruption of our nature, and it poses one of the biggest threats to our continued survival. What's even more disturbing, and what virtually no one recognizes, is that inactivity is killing our brains too, physically shriveling them. Yeah, we just spent however many minutes talking about building up the brain via exercise. Well, the reverse exists too.
Yeah, dog. So see one another point there for the people them will love fight off the fat people them cause you have the people them with that are them whole thing. Oh, you're fat, you're this, you're that, you're fat and evil, me hate fat people. Ah, and So see another point that we can fight with and use as an excuse for why you hate fat people. Say, oh, unu brain literally a shrink. When in the fat, da 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 da. I know me telling you say your negativity not go nowhere, dog. So me not too up with them people if you say, oh, this and that. It's like there's a way to bring across certain things. But me not telling a lie, sometimes them people are fat for real though. Like boy, do better man, do better. You're fat, yo.
The shriveling brain is the exact opposite. The branches that reached out for new connections, they pull back. Those new connections, they weaken, they disappear, and a once densely packed brain begins to thin and shrink. And before I tell you
Yikes.
how many hours a day we now sit contributing to that problem, let me tell you
Damn.
what this actually feels like.
That's done right. No shit.
What the loss of function in your brain actually feels like, because it's subtle at first and you've definitely already experienced it. It's walking into a room and forgetting why you went in there more frequently than before. It's rereading
I only up me fridge and I remember you up me fridge for
the
shit.
same paragraph three
Or when you look for something, you have the something right in here and shit.
times because nothing's sticking and you're not able to fully engage with what you're doing. It's losing your train of thought mid-sentence. Poof. It starts with brain fog and then begins to impact things like your drive and motivation to get going into stuff. And then there's your entire emotional life. It can add anxiety, feel like depression, become depression, and you can even start like flying off the handle more. Now, everything I just described doesn't necessarily mean that your brain is shriveling or shrinking or whatever. You could just be having a bad day. But all
Regular
of
day.
those things are improved by exercise. So if you have been experiencing them more than you'd like, perhaps the answer is as simple as more exercise. Because today, thanks mostly to desk jobs and modern life, the average adult sits for 9 hours a day. And the crazy thing is, the sedentary lifestyle is terrible for our brains, right? But
Crazy.
it's not the only aspect of modern life that is literally attacking our brains. Chronic stress, doom scrolling, the lack of social connection, our modern standard American diet, all of them harm our brains. But exercise is one of the best antidotes we have. And I've been saying exercise this whole video and then sometimes switching it up and saying movement. And you might have been thinking, okay, but what kind of exercise? Okay, you gotta tell me. Aerobic exercise only, just the running, or
All of
what is
them
it? So I
dog.
figured we better hop on over
Anyone
to this
will raise
chapter, the regimen.
talk. Anyone that raise your heartbeat. Heartbeat or heart rate? What am I saying, man? Yeah, heart rate. And that I could be cardio. And then the resistance training or the calisthenics, the muscle building and endurance and everything. The cardio could build endurance as well. I mean, talk like me a coach, you wanna pay me?
Build your brain. As far as a regimen goes, the book keeps it pretty simple. And also, a lot of the scientific studies they're a little bit outdated now because this book is like 20 years old. But something that stood up to time is that it's relatively simple. Walk daily, run often, and sprint sometimes. AKA aim for a different mix of aerobic
Nothing too
exercise
much. Nothing too
every
much.
single week. And in the ideal scenario, we would get fit, stay fit, and then push ourselves all the time. And the book doesn't really get into this, but as of today, we also know that strength training also helps your brain flourish. Now, if any of this sounds out of reach for you right now, it's extremely important to note that anything is way, way better than nothing. And the biggest gains come from going from nothing to something. And by something, I literally mean walking. One study done on seniors demonstrated that walking on treadmills, starting out at just 40% of their maximum heart rate and then ramping up to 60 to 70%, which is not crazy at all, resulted in an improvement in their fitness as shown by VO2 max, the lungs' capacity to process oxygen. And in addition to this, there was an increase in brain volume in the frontal and temporal lobes. And that's seniors, meaning that just committing to a walking routine is enough to change your brain and therefore change your life. Look how low this goes. A 2025 study of 90,000 adults found even 35 minutes a week was linked to a 41% lower dementia risk. So no matter where you're at,
What? That's all? If it helps, it helps.
thing is insanely better than nothing. And at the same time, it's important to note that there are huge benefits to aiming higher than that too. As high as you
I
can
may do more than 35 in a day. More than 30, what? More than 35 before half of my day, what?
absolutely go. Rather than take information from the book, which like I said, it's old, it doesn't really have up-to-date stuff, I will link some resources that talk about this further because I think that they're better sources than this. So yeah, you now know that exercise is not separate from thinking, feeling, learning, or personal growth, and that exercise is the most underrated tool in the toolbox. This book totally changed the way I looked at exercise and movement. I've already been committed to exercise as like a health thing for years now, but I've never transformed into like an exercise fanatic. Health can become a little bit abstract, right? It can become a little bit far off in the future. We all know we're supposed to do it, but it's not always so clear
Black and
why
white.
it matters today that we do it. But reading this, I was like, oh, I am literally not my best self on days I don't exercise. My brain is not working at full tilt on the days I don't exercise. And I found that incredibly motivating in the short term. Actually, to be completely honest, I wouldn't even say that I liked this book. It was one of those books where the ideas were so good and I kept running them through my brain and coming back to them, and it was a life-changing read for me. However, the actual book itself, the thoughts were kind of all over the place. The logic wasn't super tight and it kind of kept messing with me to read it. Like I did find it a little bit of a slog, but that being said, it was still worth it and I would recommend it. And it really is the only book that
Nah, read it. Thanks for the recommendation, though, but I read it.
actually tackles this question head on at this moment in time. So I'm not dissing John Rady, I'm just saying. But yeah, I barely covered a fraction of what is in this book, and there's a lot of extremely valuable information in there. So I absolutely did not spoil the whole thing, and there is a heck of a lot more in there if you are interested in the topic. It goes deep on anxiety, depression, ADHD, hormones, aging. If you'd like to check it out, I'll put a link in the description box. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, the first of many in my new series. But yeah,
I think we did this. She always is a new series or me I try this type of video. Probably she always get new viewers or something. She always do them thing there. But or she just like make new series on her channel. I'm kind of new to the channel, so that's why I have so much questions. But that was the video. That was the video on the year one is supposed to do. Go do something, man. Get up. Get up, go and go work out. Go do something. Go work out. If you're gonna be a dunce. You wanna be a dunce. So get up and go work out. Go run. Walk. Something. So you can get your brain up and running. Yeah, that was the video. Thanks for watching.